Thank you. I'm here. Mike is here. Mark is here. Mike Kennedy is here. Rob Prohl, here on the end. Okay, you're here. Sue is here. Jim Dexter's here. Over there, okay. David's here. And Dawn. So that's 9 for 9. That's great. In addition, we have Leslie McGregor, who's visited us in the past from the Garden Club. And she's going to talk just a little bit about gardens in general, and then trailhead gardens, one of my favorite subjects. And then, of course, Ashley Seabolt's here. Everyone knows Ashley, town administrator, I'm sure. And we have Bill Stockwell and Stu Greer. And who'd we miss? Oh, Don is here. Welcome home. Okay. All right. Let's get right to the Otter Pond Protective Association permit application. We can share. Okay. Thank you.
Sure thing. I need one to read from.
Oh, okay. When you start, could you step up to the podium there, and if you push the button, you should get a green ring around the base. If it's red, it's turned off.
We're good now. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I'm Bill Stockwell and Stu Greer. We're presenting on behalf of the Otter Pond Protective Association. We're also tied in with LSPA on this project. And what we're trying to do is reduce the access points into the beach along Otterville Road to reduce the erosion that's been occurring. So we're trying to do something good. It'll involve planting approximately 200 native plants to begin with, but we have to develop access steps to guide visitors on the best way to get down to the pond for their recreation and their enjoyment of the pond. In this situation, this is actually private property. It's owned by OPA and conserved by the Osborne Sergeant Protective Association. So we have a lot of different groups involved here. And we've allowed public access for the benefit of the public. And we have visitors coming in from all around the region to enjoy the pond. But unfortunately, it's kind of trampled the lakeshore over there. So we're trying to provide some guidance and improve the quality of the water as well, in a nutshell.
Little background on this. LSPA identified this particular piece of property as a priority location for stormwater control management as part of their watershed management plan. And the goal of the watershed management plan is to reduce phosphorus loading in the watershed lakes and ponds, and thereby reduce the likelihood of cyanobacteria blooms. As Bill said, the public has access to this. We allow access. They've had access to it for years before we even owned it. And we don't want to stop that. It's the only beach, as small as it is, that does not require parking stickers or town residency or anything like that. So generations of families have been going there for years, and mostly from the region, but we've seen people from Quebec stop in and see that it's a beautiful spot to enjoy. What that has created is 8 to a dozen points of access in a rather short area. We have about 400 feet of shoreline in this particular parcel. The beach is less than half that. And so paths have been created by people stepping on vegetation over the years. And it's worn down the soil, so the water just runs in. The vegetation has really taken a beating. And so, as Bill said, the first phase of this project, not what we're here today for, but just so you know, if you don't already, we're going to be putting in a lot of plants in 2 weeks?
Yeah,
On the
April 29th.
29th, weather permitting, to help soak up the water and hold the soil more. The steps that we want to put in, we want to have 4 points of access, ultimately, using infiltration steps based on the soak up the rain design from the Department of Environmental Services. They'll be 10 feet by 4 feet, so we're talking 160 square feet in size, and they'll be spaced out along the beach. There's still a spot for people to put their boats in. It is not a boat launch, but people can put their boats in there. So there's actually 5 points of access, but down from 8 to 12, depending on how you count them. We're applying for a wetlands permit from the DES, and we are asking the Conservation Commission to support this expedited minimum impact application so that we can move forward with all due haste. We know that otherwise it can take a lot of time to get permits. Things happen. The DES is shorthanded, but we're hoping we can get your support in this. Any questions from the commission?
Question.
Yes, Bob.
Just so we're all on the same page, the beach is owned by Audubon Protective Association.
Correct.
It's in New London,
Yes.
and it's under an easement?
Yeah, so Osborne, yeah, a conservation easement from Osborne Sargent.
And,
Yes.
Yes.
We actually own a couple parcels around there. We have a parcel across the street. Sorry.
I'm
across
just
the-
curious, how far does the property you own go kind of around the corner and heading towards George's Mills?
It goes to I can only tell you based, I'm not sure about the feet, but I
No, I
can
mean
tell you.
just roughly.
It goes to the second utility pole on Route 11 around the corner. I know that from the Osborne Sargent monitoring. So.
And then further down, you have the cottages.
And then further down, you have the cottages. The cottages, I think the property line is after the first cottage. And the other way, we go down or up Otterville Road to a parcel owned by the trust, Judy and Steve Belden. I think Judy's the executor of the trust that has the adjacent property, and their house is across the street.
Okay.
Excuse me, will there be ample friendly signage to let the public know what you're doing?
Yes, thanks for asking that. I'm sorry I don't have a display of it, but we've worked with LSPA to create signage that describes the intent of the project with some specificity. And we've talked with the town, with Adam, about the signs. He's seen them. He has approved them. They're temporary signs. The plants, they're mainly for the plants. And when we put the plants in, we're going to be putting roping and stakes around them to try to keep people out of there. But we'll have 4 signs spread out along the beach in the project. And
You'll probably need them there for quite a while.
yeah, we were talking with Adam, we're thinking a year. And then after that, we were talking with Jeff Lazar from LSPA about having some directional signs. We don't want to have too many signs on the beach, but some directional signs to point people to the pathways until the plants grow in and visitors get used to where they should walk into the beach.
So the plants that you're putting in are going to be funneling people to go on these pathways?
Correct, correct. And there may be a picture in there, in your packet that shows an example of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, for instance, here's an example of, which slide are you on? I am on slide number 6, and that shows the brown rectangular display there shows where the steps would go in. We would have plants on either side of that. And these are all native plants, of course. Fortunately, we don't have any invasive plants on the beach there, knock on wood, at the moment. And they've been selected by a horticulturist that we're working with through LSPA, Nick Shy, who used to be the head of, I think it was horticulture at the Fells.
Yeah.
So we're supposed to put in about 230 plants.
And we have about 20 volunteers, I believe, also to help us with the planting.
So far. The steps, we think we can build each set of steps in a day. And it's timber and stone and cloth and so forth. And so we would have 4 days of work in total for the steps.
And hoping for the fall of this year to do that work, that part of it.
Any questions, comments?
Yeah, good morning. Looks like a great project, and thank you for the free access and unregulated access. That's kind of a breath of fresh air. My question regarding the parcel, there's a wetland, on the south side of the road of Otterville. Is that healthy, and are there connections between that wetland and the pond?
Across Otterville Road?
Yes.
Yes, yeah, the culvert is working. There is water flowing through there. It's pretty healthy. There are some invasive species in there. There's some Japanese knotweed along Route 11. Very difficult to get to because it's dangerous actually, because of the slope it's on, and it's right on the state highway. Other than that, it's very healthy.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good. Anything else?
Make a motion that the Conservation Commission support their request for an accelerated permit.
Second.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
We should roll call it.
Opposed?
Bob,
What's that?
roll call.
Yes. Just to go back here, Jim Dexter is a yes?
Yes.
Sue Andrews?
Yes.
Rob Prohl?
Yes.
Mike Kennedy?
Yes.
Mark Vernon?
Yes.
Mike Gelsius?
Yes.
Bob Brown, yes. Unanimous. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
I have the applications to be signed. I have 4 copies to be signed.
Okay,
And then by, I don't know, you, Bob, or somebody in the committee, and then I will go down to Will Kidder, the town clerk, and file them with him.
okay. You were looking to do that right away?
If we can, that would be terrific. If you want us to wait, I'll sit quietly and wait.
No, we want to help you stay on track.
Thank you. That's appreciated big time, yeah. We're on a tight track here, so.
Yeah, that's fine.
Let me have that, and that way Bob can keep going.
Okay.
The accelerated application. Accelerated
We'll, we will write the motion out. on that form. We'll actually get Jim to do it. We have a voting form, and if you can just write in your motion, then we'll have a written record of it. Okay, thank you. Okay,
Thank you very much.
thank you. In addition, we have Leslie McGregor of the New London Garden Club, who would like to talk to us a little bit about trailhead gardens. Was that your primary?
Yes.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Leslie McGregor. I'm representing the New London Garden Club. I think it was Michael Gelsius who approached us about trailhead gardens. The club has a lot of people in it who are very adamantly supportive of conservation and pollinators and everything to do with them. And if there were gardens that needed to be put in, I'm sure that we can get a sign up and people to help. I'm not sure we can get a lot of people to maintain the gardens because we're already maintaining something like 20 gardens around New London in public spots, including the elementary school pollinator garden. And so I'm not sure how we can help. We'd certainly be happy to advise on plant selection. I'm a master gardener, and I know a fair number of pollinator plants especially. But that's about what I had to say.
Okay. We have plans to build a new pollinator garden down at the Low Plain Dam.
Okay.
And we're also looking into this as a possibility on the dam itself. We might plant something like sunflowers that are fairly rooty, you know, that will help hold the soil. And then, of course, at the end of the year, there's bird food. So, you know, got to try it to make sure it works. As far as trailhead gardens, I'll give you a little history here. Mark and I go back on this quite a ways. And we've tried to do it. The only one we have is on Bog Road at the Clark Pond Trailhead. Underneath the sign, there's a little box, and we put some perennials in there. And I think it's basically the European ginger and the, I guess they're hostas. There may be a couple other things in there. But my concern was, who's going to take care of these? You know, if we have 8 or 10 of them out. And we found the answer to the one, and that's pretty much been me. So, but you know, most of the time it's pulling a couple of weeds. You know, it's only 4 feet by 2 feet. It's not a huge garden. So there's leaves and debris to take out, and then if it's real dry, I've been watering them. And so we could do more, but your point's a good one, and that is who's going to take care of it. But let's see. We could talk to the trail adopter who's going to be there anyways and see what their feelings would be. I mean, it's a nice thing to do.
Yes.
So yes, we'll consider it, Mark?
Absolutely.
Try to figure out.
I think the answer to maintaining all the other ones is sitting right over there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we don't want to create a monster either.
Right.
You know.
No.
We could be modest.
Yeah,
We'd build another 1 or 2.
yeah, sure.
As for the dam and soil retention, sunflowers are annuals and don't have a very big root system. There's a lot of other plants that could be better for soil retention and that are perennial and natives.
Well, the animals have built a fairly solid wall,
Oh,
as long as the dam doesn't breach. When it breaches, it starts washing all that stuff away.
okay.
So we were looking at, you know, obviously pollinators, but also, you know, have it kind of look nice. Because there's nothing too attractive about that dam, you know.
Okay.
So I guess it's gonna be an experiment. Dawn has some seed selected?
Yeah, I've started seeds.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so my thought is just a nice, like a 4x8 garden by the bench.
Yeah.
Easy to maintain, and I volunteer to maintain it and plant it and so forth, so.
Great.
That's perfect. And probably one would be good. I mean, you
Yeah,
can't,
oh, yes.
can't
Let's-
saddle
let's
somebody with
start.
a
Yeah,
half a dozen of them.
Let's start
Right.
with one, right?
Okay. So that's good, but, you know, as we get closer to doing this, it'll be a little while, but, you know, we'd like to contact you if we have issues on selection of plants, and
Absolutely.
we tried a few times contacting you folks. I know you seem, just driving by and watching, it seems like you occasionally cull things out, you know, that aren't maybe doing too well. Our standards on plants is probably not very high. As long as it's green and it's growing, we're not so concerned about it being, you know, full, and, you know, great appearance. It's good if you can do that, but we also found out quickly how much money you can spend if you go out and buy these things.
Yes, you
Yeah,
can.
I mean, it's incredible.
Bob, I have one question.
Sure.
So Peg Birch started a garden up there at Low Plain. I wonder if the Garden Club has any interest in maintaining that for her or keeping it going?
I can find out. It could perhaps become one of the civic beauty projects that are on our list. It's at where?
It's at the Low Plain, up
Low
near
Plain.
the Chestnut, where the Chestnut Orchard is.
Okay,
Yeah. And Peg has been working on it. I don't know how much she's done recently, but.
all right.
It is somewhat of a remote area, but we did it more for the pollinators, you know, regardless of whether there are a lot of people around or not. But that's great, thank you.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Can I just add one comment? Which is, you know, most of our trailheads are heavily shaded. But yeah, I think the Low Plain location is an exception.
There's
But-
lots of natives that are woodland plants that grow in shade.
I think that's what we'll need to do.
Okay. Good, okay. No one here for public comment, okay. So, Ashley,
Good morning. It's lovely to see everyone. Nice to walk up finally. We've got some warmer temps. I am here for a few different reasons, and I think you guys all have the agenda. The first is the vote that took place in December on the Oler project easement and the contribution that you all would like to make to that project. The town has certainly heard quite a bit of feedback on that vote and that meeting. I've consulted with legal counsel, and the overwhelming recommendation is that we retake the vote on that contribution amount. It is important to note that if members need to recuse themselves, they recuse themselves before the vote is taken so that they're not seconding or participating in conversations about the vote itself. Yes, Bob?
can I ask a question? I don't want
course.
to interrupt. But,
No.
recusing oneself, obviously they don't vote. But what about making a presentation, like in support of the motion, or making a motion, which they can't do, right?
No, they would need to recuse themselves at the beginning of when the topic is even being discussed. So I think that's important to keep in mind. So if there are members that want to recuse themselves, that they're recusing themselves before the topic comes up. And to piggyback onto that, even if you have a quorum of members in the room and you have members that recuse themselves and you still have a quorum for a vote, it is up to the chair as to whether or not they, for lack of a better term, activate alternates, but that is a possibility. But it's at the discretion of the chair.
And that's pretty much what we've been doing all along.
Okay.
And I don't want to steal your thunder here, but the recused situation is very different from the absent situation.
Correct. Yep, but they are treated the same. So if you do not have a quorum of full members, you can activate alternates then. You can also activate alternates even if you have a quorum for a vote, and you have a full committee here and alternates available. You are able to activate those alternates as well for the vote.
Okay?
Why would we do that if without the recused member, we still have a quorum of members?
It's, the zoning board does it frequently. I think it's up to each committee and chair as to what sort of works for them and what makes sense. I think it's a great way to engage with the alternates in a meaningful way. Sometimes I see alternates on committees that come and they sit for the meeting, but they don't always get to participate in some of the discussions or voting. So it's a great way to engage alternates.
I just think that, I don't know that it would affect us, but it seems like that's an opportunity for politics to become involved. For instance, if the chair wanted to promote this vote,
Sure.
then he or she could turn to an alternate that they know would be favorable or unfavorable in terms of the motion. Doesn't sound like a good idea to me.
Okay, well, it is statute, so I'm just saying that is something that can be done. And, I think to your point, Mike, the flip side of that is maybe not engaging alternates because you know how they stand on something, and they might be against something.
It just seems like you're asking for a point of contention.
Yeah. Well, point taken. But I do think that if I have not seen the updated rules and procedures document, but we want to make sure that is clear, and that it is not, I think wording should say something, and maybe it's in there already, something along the lines of it is up to the board chair as to whether or not alternates are activated at a meeting or for a vote. Yes.
Does it have to say that, or could we create a different set of rules and procedures that said the board chair shall appoint an alternate when someone refuses themselves?
I suppose you could, but I think that what you'll find is that every time there's a new chair, that might actually change as to whether or not they want to always activate an alternate.
So you're saying that, like at the zoning board, that happens every time that I've ever been because the chair chooses that?
Correct.
Not because there's some kind of statute?
Correct, but what I want to make sure is that the rules and procedures that are out there don't pigeonhole into not activating because they can activate, and it's up to the board chair as to whether or not they want to do that or not. But I don't want to see rules and procedures that say alternates can't or won't be appointed, because that's just not true. Yes.
I have a quick question.
Yes, Rob.
As far as what the alternates think, I mean, we have sometimes when somebody's not here, an alternate could be appointed
Yep.
in place of the absent member at the beginning of the meeting, or they could also be asked to sit in if there's a recusal. But what do our alternates, I mean, you guys are alternates, and what do you think?
Well, thank you for the opportunity. I guess my feeling is that I guess only speaking for myself, I attend these meetings and try to stay up on activities that the board is considering, and occasionally do have the opportunity to vote on these matters when I'm substituting for somebody. I think in the case of a recusal, I don't see any particular difference. I try to be open-minded in all of our votes, as I think all of us are. So the situation that Mike has suggested, I think it's unlikely. I don't think that level of personal politics has any place in meetings like this and any bearing. I think engaging people that are otherwise interested in serving the committee is a positive.
No,
Okay.
I'm looking toward the future, not necessarily as this group is composed today,
Yeah.
but just looking at precedent and looking at the future of how things go in this world.
Sure. Yep.
I think Mike has a good point in that if there's multiple alternates, and the chair gets to pick which alternate is sitting in, then there could be an issue there, whether pro or con, so just.
But that could easily be decided by order of precedence. You have a first alternate, you have a second alternate based on when they were assigned by the town.
Yeah, and that,
Simple procedure like that. I think certainly the option of choosing how you want the vote to go should not be an option.
and that's the exact process that other committees follow, is just when was the person with the most tenure as an alternate appointed? And they're usually activated if there's only an opportunity for one. Yes, Don?
So my feeling is, I'm active in here and I'm heard and so forth. It's not an issue. I guess the question is, if you come up with a topic and you know you're going to recuse yourself, it probably should be stated before the meeting. And then at that point, the chair can say, okay, do we want an alternate to vote or not, choose it. And then same token, if a member is not going to be here, do we fill those 7? Or do we just simply say with a quorum? So I guess that's my question.
Yeah, and I think that is up to the chair. If you still have a quorum and you've got one member that isn't present, certainly that you could appoint or activate an alternate, but it's certainly not needed if you do have a quorum. And I've seen that happen both ways, where, the planning board, I think, always activates an alternate, and they do that right at the beginning of the meeting. So-and-so isn't here, so.
I think that's typically how Bob's done it.
Okay, good. Yeah.
If somebody's missing,
Yeah.
One concern is that really all of us here should really be well-informed on the subject. And if you're not well-informed, then you can make a bad vote. In other words, especially like with money, large sums of money, you really need to understand what the deal is, how much is really needed. Now, if somebody isn't, that's not up to the chair to say you can't vote because you don't know what's going on. But, I think we all have to think about that, and maybe that's why you see often on votes there's a column for abstain, where if someone, geez, I don't really know much about that, I'm not sure I should be voting, then good for them. They were
Sure.
honest enough to say so.
Yeah.
But that's a concern, because sometimes, a lot of excitement about doing something, and people may just not have all the correct information in front of them. But I guess we have got to learn.
That is the way of the world, Bob. That is the way of the world.
Yeah.
Yes, Mark?
Yeah, regarding recusal, I understand how somebody who recuses themselves should not vote, should not make a motion, should not second. But it would seem that often, if you're recusing yourself, you may have a perspective or information, you may actually be a subject matter expert on the topic. So I would think you'd be allowed to discuss at least.
I can go back and ask council again, but their guidance was to recuse at the beginning of the topic of whatever is going to be discussed. I do see your point, and I'm happy to clarify that with council.
I could see why, I'm not going to vote,
Yeah.
recuse myself.
Yep.
But here's,
Here's what I know.
something I'd like to say about it.
Yeah. I'm happy to clarify.
The thing though, Mark, is that if it's a recusal because there's a conflict, then statements made by that person could also be in conflict, right?
As long as that's, open for us to see, what their perspective, what they stand for and what their perspective is.
Yeah, any member of the public is going to come in with an opinion, and they're going to have a conflict based on their opinion, no matter what. So that problem, exists no matter who's speaking.
Yeah, and I said this to Bob and Mike, but I think almost all of you have some sort of conflict or are dipping your toes in many different organizations here in town, which is fantastic. So I worry about limiting when we're talking about conflict of interest, unless that person is saying, I need to recuse myself.
I can give you an example with the, when I was on the Budget Committee and also on the Council on Aging Board, and we're voting for, we're asking the town to vote. Well, certainly, I would recuse myself because I'm on the board, and of course, I want the town to give as much money as they possibly can.
Yep.
So there is a conflict there where I have an interest to want to increase the amount of the money given, so I would recuse myself and say, well, I can't
Yep.
really talk about that because I'm very
Bob.
prejudiced in wanting to have more money.
Look, you can't vote on it.
I can't vote, but I can see why you would step back and not say anything.
Yeah.
But I see your point too, Mark, so.
To Mark's point, about perhaps having some pertinent or important information to present, we have to remember that, isn't the whole purpose of recusing oneself to eliminate the possibility of, personal gain?
Correct.
So.
Or the gain of your employer or some
Yeah,
other organization that you are involved in. Yep.
So, it seems like that's kind of lobbying for something and then saying, I don't want to vote, but I sure want you guys to, it's tough, but I think a lot of it is, personal ethics. Mm-hmm. And, you hear people are coercing a member to vote in a different way. And, I'd rather have somebody confuse me with the facts rather than telling me how to vote.
Someone over here have their hand up. It's time to wake up, Mark.
I guess actually I'm not sure it was in some of the material that Mike sent around, but the conflict of interest here definition is really important because often it does refer to just personal gain or gain of a family or family member or something like that. I think when two organizations or boards are broadly speaking addressing similar issues, that's not necessarily a conflict of interest. Even though your service on one board, you might think you're using your service on another board to accomplish something for the first. You have no personal gain, you're just using your judgment on what's best in each case. So it's not necessarily, but it would be very important to understand how the town defines that.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, I haven't seen the updated document. Mike, I know that I sent you some suggested edits, but if I can see the document as it stands today, that would be fantastic, and I can take a look to see what's in there. And we can continue to iterate on that if needed. The other thing of note, and Mike, I don't think I put this in my email back to you on Sunday with my suggested edits, was around public comment. And this is something that we had to deal with at a Board of Selectmen meeting. If you limit public comment, that also means you cannot ask anybody in the public questions. So if you have an expert sitting in there and you've said we will not be taking public comment, you cannot ask them questions. So just something to note, it's a two-way street. And we had to have guidance on that from town council for a Board of Selectmen meeting where we did limit public comment. And something that I don't think any of us realized. So just something to keep in mind. So I think, just to go back, you guys need to revote on the amount to give to Osmond Sargent for the Oler easement in this meeting. We'll take a look. Mike will send me the updated rules and procedures. Yes, Sue?
So when a vote is about, so when a topic is about to come up and someone feels that they need to recuse themselves, I've often seen people get up and go to the chairs. Or do they need to leave the room?
No.
Or do they need to leave the table?
No, none of those. You can stay at the table, you're just not participating. I have,
Sue, do you have your mic on?
there's no requirement for them to leave a room or to leave the table.
Okay. I just wanted that clarified. Thank you.
Yep. Any? Okay. So you guys will retake the vote on the Oler easement. We'll look at the process and procedures document again. I don't know if anybody else had feedback on it that they provided Mike, but I would welcome that, to send any feedback that you have on it to Mike, and then we can continue to iterate on it. Any,
Yeah,
okay?
I thought we would, at some point later in the meeting, we would talk about, because they incorporated everything that you
Great.
gave me into the document.
Perfect, thank you. Dave, were you raising your hand? Yeah.
I guess this is in Mike's notes, and I don't quite understand if it's on the top of page 2, it's item 3. It has to do with using conservation funds for purchasing any interest in real estate or for contribution to a qualified organization for the purchase of property interests. Does the purchase of an easement come under that standard? Because if it does, then that requires the holding of a public meeting before we take a vote.
You are correct.
So an easement does count.
Sorry, I just need a visual.
So this is the issue here. Concert is required to
Public hearing
or
prior to.
contributed to a qualified organization.
Yep,
So-
for the purchase of a property.
For the purchase. Now, however, in this case, Osmond Sargent was purchasing an easement, so rights to the property, but not the property itself.
Yep, we should work in easement into this paragraph.
But that would then mean that we should not take a vote on purchasing an easement because there hasn't been a public hearing prior to using
We had a
these
public
funds.
hearing.
We did have a public hearing.
Okay, was that the town meeting or was that
Nope,
the?
it
That was
was-
the prior.
Everybody
End of
was
We've
February?
had several meetings, I
And
know.
it was in
February.
It was the,
End of February?
Beginning of
it
February.
was right at the front end of a selectmen's meeting.
Okay.
But it
okay,
was,
right,
yeah,
right,
but it was
right.
advertised.
Okay,
And
so
everybody got a message.
all of those criteria have been taken care of.
Yes, and so I do think you were correct that we probably should work in easement
Easement in there,
in there
okay.
as well.
I think interest.
Or easement, maybe.
I was wondering if the words in this thing says, for the purchase of any interest in real estate was enough to cover easement. I don't know.
That's the way I interpret it.
That's the way I interpreted it.
I do think we should work in the word property,
Conservation easement.
yes, clarify it. Yeah, especially because,
Well, for the other organization, because that would cover the Conservation Commission purchasing an easement, the text would already cover that. It's the text covering someone else purchasing an easement.
correct.
Yeah.
So I think we just spell that out a bit more. Okay.
Thank you.
Of course, thank you.
I'm not,
And just one more thing, back to Sue's comment about recusal, if you look at L, conflict of interest, number 3, it says they should physically step away from the table.
Yeah, it does.
I was trying to figure out what that was.
You know, also it says under H3 about the,
You said this was not needed.
there's not a choice for the chair to appoint an alternate member. I assume what you're saying is that you would like to see the procedure say the chair has the discretion to appoint an alternate member if somebody recuses himself. Is that right, Ashley? Is that what?
Sorry, give me 1 second, Rob. Yep, that,
It's up to the chair.
it's up to the
This
chair,
is what
you were
you said,
correct.
yeah.
And then the other, yes, I would remove the physically step away from the meeting table during deliberation. That is not,
Sounds excessive.
it does.
It's not required.
No, it is
It's not
certainly
required
not
by
required.
statute.
No, not at all. Rob?
Well, under on page 3 of our proposed rules, under 8,
No, but if you need to put minutes.
you would want that changed to have the chair have the,
That's exactly, you're correct. Yep, that's exactly what the table is just showing.
okay,
So we'll want the, what happens, Yep. I think he created.
Yes, he did.
I'm not sure whether everyone has their mics on here.
We do.
Are they on? Okay. Maybe you just weren't close enough, but I want to make sure, understand
Mike
what
is-
was said there. Our original description or purpose of the Land Acquisition Fund was for the purchase of land. So when it came to making a contribution to the purchase, but only a portion, or to the purchase of an easement, that didn't fly. So that's why back, I think it was 4 years ago, we changed the wording of that purpose so that we could make a donation without an interest in the property.
Correct, and then, if you remember, we worked on this back in the fall to
Has that been done,
chase.
by the way?
Sorry?
Has that been done?
Has what been done?
Have the words been changed?
I would need, they were changed years ago. I did touch base with Lynn on that. But it's in the DRA system. So it is, yes, it was changed when it was changed several years
Okay,
ago.
so we're okay. That was.
Oh, yeah.
That was 22, I think. That was
Yes.
done.
Yep, I did ask, and it has changed in the DRA portal where,
And when we made the motion, or what was requested of us from Osborne Sargent, was clearly a donation towards the purchase of the conservation easement.
correct.
It didn't talk about anything else, like grading or planting, or, I mean, it was
Yep.
all about buying,
The easement.
purchasing the conservation easement.
Yep.
And I think we made that very clear. And I've been talking to Hans every couple of weeks and, you know,
Yeah.
where we are and so forth. And I hope everyone got the second notice that they have hit the magic number. And we're all set. They're very grateful to have the 50,000.
We are $9,000 short of the magic number.
Yeah, I've
that
also
again,
talked
Sue?
to Hans, and it was,
We are 9,000 and some odd
Nine.
dollars short of the magic number.
Okay, on Monday, it was 19, so you've made progress.
it's great.
And
pending a couple of grants still?
Yes. We have no idea. We have not heard, which does not bode well.
So do we want to pause here and retake that vote on the Oler easement?
Do you want to what?
Pause here and retake the vote on the Oler easement?
Whatever, sure.
Sure. Yes. No. Yes, so I think we're going to take a revote on the Oler easement, so if there's anybody that needs to or would like to recuse themselves from this, now is the time to do that. Sue?
So we have,
Are we just taking the vote, or are we beginning all over and with a motion?
We do, well, that is part of the vote, is making the motion.
So Linda, what was the motion that was made that we voted on previously? Let's read that, decide if we want to vote on that again.
The final motion, Mike Jelsi has made a motion to pledge $50,000 to the Oler easement project with the stipulation that the contribution is contingent on the Conservation Commission having approval of the language of the Oler easement, seconded by Rob Cole.
Okay. Yep. We don't want to get too much into the I don't want it to follow exactly. I just want to start with somebody making a motion for a dollar amount, and we'll go from there.
Well, you make the motion that we donate $50,000 to the easement on the older property with the stipulation that we have an opportunity to review language of that easement.
Second.
Discussion?
Yes. Why not, how about 59,000?
Can I ask a question? Where does 59 come from? How did you come up with that calculation?
The 50 is what we, by consensus agreed to, and the 9,000 would make up the difference.
Okay. Can I reiterate my memo once again? There are two seasoned contributors, donors, familiar with Osborne Sargent. Both said if the grant applications didn't come through affirmative, and they totaled something around 45,000. Those two people, both of them offered to do it individually. They would cover that amount. In addition, when we spoke at the selectmen's hearing, we said that we also offered, if at the last minute we're short, come back to the Conservation Commission, we'll sure talk, because we're not going to allow this to fail. So the question really is, whose money do we want to use? Do we want to use private money with willing donors, or do we want to use up our land acquisition fund?
It doesn't seem to me as though we are at the last minute.
Say it again, Mike.
It doesn't seem to me that we are at the last minute.
No.
I'd
We're
agree,
not.
I'd agree with Mike that we should wait for the last minute, and if we need to, then we make a second vote to add more money.
Yeah, I would agree with you as well.
Yeah. Definitely.
Good point, Mark, but I think we should
Yeah.
wait.
Other discussion items? Everybody ready to vote? Bob, would you read off the
Okay.
list for us?
Was it excuse me, point of order, was it seconded?
Yes, by Rob.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Jim Dexter.
Aye.
Sue recused herself. Rob Prohl?
Yes.
Mike Kennedy?
Aye.
Mark?
Yes.
Mike Gelsius?
Yes?
Bob, yes. So we have 6 yeses and 1 recuse.
Great. Bob, will you work with Lynn for the amount to get over to Osmond Sargent?
I talked to her, but I didn't realize, normally we'd also talk to Joe Kubit, but he has retired.
Correct.
So I talked to
Oh, Tom Carley?
Tom Carley.
Okay.
And told him about it.
Yeah.
And I think what they wanted to do is see the written purpose. And I don't know where those live. They got to be filed away somewhere, but.
Yep.
But I gave him all the information.
Okay.
Sent him the brochure from Osborne Sargent.
Great.
Telling about that.
Yep.
So I guess the only thing he probably needs is just to make sure that our request and the purpose of the fund match.
Mm-hmm.
And Hans said around the middle of May.
Yeah, May 15th-ish,
Whatever.
yeah.
No big panic.
Yep. Okay. And have you communicated with Osmond Sargent that the donation is contingent upon something?
On approval of the, yes,
Correct.
absolutely.
Okay, great.
And I think that's coming a little slow because this isn't something that just Osborne Sargent writes up, because they're not going to own the land. The olders are going to continue to own the
Sure.
land. So I'm sure they're going to have a lot of input
Yeah.
into,
Yep.
what it says. So he's working on it.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
A topic that Bob and I have been talking about for the past few months, while he still has 2 more years left of his term, is stepping down as chair and allowing someone else to be chair. One of my concerns is God forbid something happen or Bob not want to continue on the commission in 2 years, that there isn't a real succession plan and someone who fully understands what the role of the chair is. So we've been talking for the past few months. He and I talked yesterday about this. So I think, and I agree with you, Bob, that folks take a little bit of time. That's not something to vote on today. Think about if there is someone else, if there is someone that would like to raise their hand and be chair, that's great. If you would like to come with a list of names or suggestions or appoint somebody in the next meeting, that's great too. I'll sort of let you guys figure that out. Bob has given a great deal to the town of New London and to the Conservation Commission. We are extraordinarily grateful for that. And we just want to make sure that someone has some time underneath his wing to fully understand what he does as chair. We get to see him pretty frequently in the town office, which is really lovely. And so we just want to make sure that whoever takes that role fully understands the ins and outs while he's still here. We talked a little bit about the rules and procedures, so I think, Mike, if you can make some of the edits that we just talked about, and then if you wouldn't mind sharing it back with me, that would be great.
My intent was to discuss this at the meeting today.
Great.
Get input like we've had.
Perfect.
Tailor it and then get it over to you so that you could review.
Great.
And then we'll take a vote the next meeting.
That's great. Bob and I have also been talking about members who have terms expiring this month or potentially ended back in March. There is a desire from the Board of Selectmen to tap into talents that we might not be seeing from residents here in our community. There are no decisions made. I have shared with them a spreadsheet of everyone. We've got about 30 people across all committees, commissions, and boards with terms expiring. They do, as I mentioned, they do have a very strong desire to think about asking some new folks who might not currently be involved to participate and join some committees, commissions, and boards. I have no idea what that looks like. I don't think they've given that any thought yet. But I think that we can expect to see across all a little bit of a shakeup. And again, no idea at this point. There's been no conversations at all with them about what committee, commission, or board, or who. So Casey Buso down at the town offices and I have been putting together a list. We've got a shared list of potential folks, some that could be good for anything and some that we think could be a good fit for specific boards, committees, or commissions. So that is ongoing. I know that we had tentatively said that reappointments or appointments would happen at the next Board of Selectmen meeting, which is next Thursday. That is not going to happen. We have to go into a non-public after the regular meeting, and that non-public will likely be a long meeting. So we will shift that to probably the first meeting in May, which is May 7th. And that will give the Board of Selectmen a little bit of time to think through.
So,
Yes, Jim.
in the case of our committee, you said some people's memberships expired in March. Does that mean we have somebody sitting at the table who just voted, who is actually not an approved member?
No, you're fine. It is not until the reappointment happens, so it's okay. I think last year the appointments didn't happen until May, so we've got a little bit of leeway here. We're fine.
Okay.
Yes, Rob.
Because we have two great alternates, I mean, isn't it logical that an alternate, if they were interested, would step into a vacancy?
I have talked to our board chair, Janet Kidder, about that, and she and I are both in alignment that if we do have alternates and there are open roles, maybe open positions, maybe it does make sense to give them the opportunity to become a full member. Again, no decisions have been made, and we've talked very broadly, not about specific committees, commissions, or boards, just really more broadly. Yes, Mark, I see your...
Well, I'm sure you know this, but 3 of us, are due for renewal. So
Yes.
do we wait to hear from you?
Yep, so I have talked to Bob, and I know I've also talked to a few of you as well, just on what your interest is, so we've got that. I'm still in the process of, I've got some stragglers on other committees, commissions, and boards that haven't yet indicated what their preference would be, but for the majority of them, I do have, so we're good.
So you're going to contact individual members and say, are you interested in re-upping, or is that going to come from Bob?
No, that will come from me. So, I've got a few remaining on my list that I haven't gotten to. I think you might be one of them, so we will get to you.
So Ashley, I have another
Yes,
question.
Jim.
I'm on multiple boards and have been for years. And the thought of some sort of a function skills analysis of what you have on the board and are you missing anything and should you be trying to get somebody, it sounds like you're talking about that, and it sounds like you're talking about the Board of Selectmen deciding what this committee or any of the other committees in the town need. Isn't that the role? Shouldn't this committee be saying, what do we think we have and
Yeah.
what we should be adding?
Yeah, that is a very good point. I think really the view of the Board of Selectmen is we have a lot of untapped talent in this community that aren't involved in anything, and they want to see that change. That's really been their view. I think if board chairs or commissions, boards have that knowledge, you should absolutely share that with me. So if you guys say, listen, we could really use X, Y, Z, that will help the Board of Selectmen think through who might be good.
Part of the discussion, if we get the opportunity of seeing the volunteer interest form, I mean, people do like a mini resume, what their interests are and so forth.
Yep.
And those are good conversations. We have always met with a candidate. We have always invited them to come to a couple of meetings, a couple of work days, because there was a period, and this goes back quite a few years, where volunteer interest form would come in, selectmen appointed the person, they'd come to a meeting, and just, I can't believe what you guys do. I guess they thought they were gonna get a big chair and make a lot of decisions, and we had some people that just, they came to 1 or 2 meetings, then never came again.
Yeah.
So it's really important that those people, talk to us and come and join.
Yep.
See if they,
And at least since I have joined, any volunteer interest form that comes in, Casey shares for a specific committee, commission, or board, Casey shares those with the board chair. We have gone into the folder to look at those that might have come in beginning of 2025 through June of last year, 2025, but prior to that, we were sort of going through them, and a lot of those folks don't live here anymore, they're no longer with us, and so we don't want to go too far back in the Wayback Machine. And I think that Casey and I have a good list of folks, and again, the Board of Selectmen will decide. And I do see the validity in sort of this try before you buy aspect, but you guys need to have a full commission, and you need to have it relatively soon. So,
well, we are at 7.
I know, but what I'm saying is to have work days and coming to a few meetings, we're looking at months out.
Yeah.
And that's probably not what we want. Well, I know that is not what we want. We will want full commissions in the month of May.
So we're full +2, so we're fine.
You are, but we'll do the reappointments or appointments likely in the beginning of May.
I've always been a great believer in the apprentice system.
Yeah.
And I would hope that the selectmen and you would keep that in mind, rather than just to get someone in the community involved, to plunk somebody on us, where we do have 2 very capable alternates now. And I hope they wouldn't feel they obligated to mess around with some other system.
Sure.
Because I think this one has served, that system has served us well for a very long time.
Yep, noted.
Right. And this commission, there's some physical aspect to it, right? People
I think that is the,
help rip beaver dams apart and maintain trails and
That is-
carry lumber, and
certainly the,
if we got handed 2 or 3 accountants that only wanted to sit at the table,
Yeah.
that would be a disservice to the community.
oh, absolutely. And I think that is certainly the view of the Board of Selectmen, is just how physical this commission has to be. And looking at folks who might be able to do some of that, so help out. And then the one other thing that I just want to mention is, I don't think folks know, and Mike, you're sort of dual for this. The Sunapee Historical Society reached out to the town back at the end of 2025, asking if we wanted a sign commemorating the Sunapee golden trout. We said, heck yes, we do. We now are in possession of that sign, and it is going to go up at Clark Lookout overlooking Sunapee. So Public Works now has it. It's a beautiful sign. It's from the Native Fish Coalition.
That's kind of interesting.
I'm not sure what we're talking about here.
Sign going on one of our properties.
That's what I thought I heard.
Yes, it's a sign that's going up at Clark Lookout. It is the Native Fish Coalition. So that will go up at Clark Lookout. I've left it to Sam to connect with you guys and see if there is an appropriate place for that to go. I suspect it will just, it's a metal sign, and it's, I don't know, 3 feet by 3 feet. Go on a tree or something, but he'll reach out to you all.
Do you have the wording of that sign with you?
I have a picture of the sign. It's lengthy.
You asked for it, Mike.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we prefer to put it on a couple of beams, the way we normally do
Sure.
our signage. That
Great.
way, you don't have to worry about, A, digging into a tree, and then B, having the tree grow, and, whatever.
Yep.
So, I'm gonna suggest that we put it on posts, like we do most of our
Perfect.
stuff.
Great. And I know there is a desire to make sure that Elkins Fishing Game knew as well, because Sunapee, the Sunapee golden trouts were also in Pleasant Lake.
Now we know not to hand him any fine china.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really nice. It's a nice little thing. Yeah, let's go look it up. then.
Elkins Bay,
Yeah,
flowers, at some point.
Okay.
good.
Thank you.
I'll read it when it goes up, thank you.
You got it.
You live close enough to take care of such a garden.
Well, my wife has been taking care of it, but she's looking for some additional.
Okay, I think that's all I had on my list. Is there anything else that I can be helpful with? All right.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Mike, do you want to talk about permit applications?
Yeah, well, obviously, we had the one from Otter Pond, which I think is a great project. The other.
Right.
The other thing that came in, the only other thing that came in was a dredge and fill, which is at 55 Pilot House Road. This one is for the installation of a boat dock, seasonal boat lift, permanent dock with a seasonal boat lift and seasonal watercraft lifts. This one's a little different than things we've seen in the past. This is a new install. It's not a replacement of an existing. However, it's, in reading over the application, it seems to be fairly straightforward in that they're going to be putting supports into the lake, and that's what the main part of their permitting is about. So it's going to take up approximately 28 square feet, so it doesn't take up a lot. There's 8 posts that are going in the water, and they've gone over all of the ecological aspects of the project. Everything's already been signed off by DES and so forth, so
So this is adjacent to a dock?
no, it's adjacent to a walkway that goes down to the lake. And now they're adding a dock and a seasonal boat lift. So they're putting
Oh,
in,
it's seasonal, okay, so it's coming out in the fall,
yes.
okay.
It's a permanent lift, but the dock will be.
The dock is permanent, but the lifts are
Yep,
seasonal.
okay.
So supports for the dock are going, that's permanent. The lifts for the boats and the whatever else they have, that's seasonal, that's gonna come out.
All right, okay, good.
And that's it, that's the only permit that we have, nothing for anything else.
What is Squires? On the agenda, it says
I don't know, Bob, what is Squires?
Isn't that the name of the people?
Oh, the name of the people?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay. Let me see. Yes, it is.
Yeah,
You're right.
okay.
Yeah.
All right, do you want to talk about the Colby Sawyer intern program?
Yeah, we got a request from a college student, same fellow that was here last year, about an internship. And I wanted to get back to this person about it, so I wanted to discuss it at today's meeting. Basically, we now have a formal internship document. If you recall, we did that last year. We got that over to the college. They were fine with it. It's a non-working internship. In other words, you can't provide a non-paid internship to have people do work that others might get paid for. So I guess the long and short of it is that if this person wanted to volunteer on their own, I don't think there's anything that would prevent it per se, but the write-up of the internship is that this is an observe and ask questions and so forth type of an internship. My way of looking at it is having somebody that's interested in learning what we do and how we do it is probably valuable. I don't see any detriment to it. The only commitment is that we would have to give this person some guidance on where to be and what we're doing and things of that nature. So I think it's worthwhile to have this person get the internship. It would be the first official internship through the college, and I think it would set a good precedent to have that. But I'm open up to the membership, see what you think about the issue.
That prescription on work, actual work, does that mean we would or could pay to have done?
Well, I guess-
There's a
I guess
difference,
the
just since
stumbling
we're a
block
group of
is
volunteers.
if we pay to have certain work done, and then this person comes in as an intern, and then they pick up some of that workload, and they're not getting paid because it's a non-paid internship, that's not allowed.
But we're
So-
volunteers, and suppose it's a volunteer
But the
operation.
volunteer opportunity should be fine, as long as there's no replacement of a paid person.
That clarifies it.
Mike, what are the guidelines on hours?
That is open to us to formulate. In other words, there isn't any requirement that it has to be a certain number.
Okay, so this is different than the working intern, because those were based on about 240 hours.
Yeah, this is more open-ended. It doesn't mean that, we couldn't ask the intern to do some things on their own, but it would have to be work that we would not be paying somebody to do.
Yeah,
So in other words, if we were going to go investigate, let's say, invasive plants, and we asked him to do the, research on that, to present it to us at a meeting, one of us might be doing that, we would ask him to do that.
Right.
what about trail work? Our trail volunteers are not paid.
Right.
No, as I said, as long
Yeah.
as it's not a paid, something that we pay for, we should be fine with having them
Yeah.
cover that work.
My concern is, I think this could be pretty boring if they just stand around and observe.
I think it should be made clear to them at the outset that they're expected to participate in the life of this volunteer group
Yes, I like that.
at the outset.
Yeah.
So they're not confused by what they could or should be asked to do.
Yeah, we can do that,
Do we have a specific person who's asking to do this?
yes.
Can you tell me that person's name?
I don't remember his name. He was the same fellow that came in to our meeting last year, and I don't know if I have
Was it Lincoln or something like
Is
that?
it Parker?
Yeah.
Could be. Could be. I'll be honest, I don't remember. I should have brought that with me, but I didn't. But he's currently a college student. And I think that, let's see. No, I don't have it. What?
I would suggest that the person might need a fair amount of clear direction and a fair
Well, we
amount
would-
of
we would
supervision.
list for him what we expect of him before accepting the internship. So in other words, I would contact him and say, in general, we are in agreement that we will give out an internship this year with this stipulation that you will be responsible for X, Y, and Z. And then if that suits him, then fine. If not, not.
Somebody from the commission has basically got to play the role of his supervisor.
Yeah,
Correct.
yeah, I don't see how you're gonna turn this person loose
You can't,
and have them learn anything, you know.
right?
No, you have to.
That's why I mentioned trail work,
Oh, yeah. Yep.
and it'd be involved with other people too, and not just, whoever's gonna work with them.
Well, what we could do is just send him a note and say that these are the things that we're interested in having you do.
Yeah.
As an intern, is this something that you'd be interested in?
And also situationally, I would assume each of these interns that are asking to be considered, they've got something they're trying to get out of this.
Well, they could also have some.
Credit at school or
Yeah.
something, so we need to understand what that something is, so we can.
Well, I'm sure that part of it is resume building.
Sure.
Saying that you've interned on a commission.
Right.
Whatever. Yes, Dave.
Mike, are you, I guess, volunteering to supervise the student? I understand, we're talking about the student, but we haven't assigned a person yet.
Yeah, well, so far, I would. But we'll see what he comes back with.
Okay,
If he's interested or not interested, but I think it's a worthwhile thing for the commission, if everybody's agreeable.
Yep.
All right,
okay?
okay.
All right, let's see if we can move along here. Dawn and Mark, some very, very positive comments, feedback, and so forth on the Citizens Committee presentation, so that's great. Keep that presentation handy. I guess we'll be using it next week, right? or part of it.
Yeah, we're gonna run it on a loop at the
Yeah,
Colton Sawyer, and
yeah.
that's, to that, back to Mike's point with the intern, we might get some interest in people,
Yeah.
volunteering.
Yeah. So that's great. A lot of good comments about that. On trails, I will just mention, this happened just yesterday, I guess. You may be vaguely familiar with the Secret Cove project. There's been a little bit of publication. It involves roughly 100 acres, over 500 feet of undeveloped shoreline on Sunapee in the Herrick Cove area. There's a local attorney who is handling it. This is the Mars family, who apparently have accumulated wealth within the range of 10 billion. That's billion with a B. And they have some great plans to do things in New London. They were doing something in Sutton.
Yeah,
The Central
the old
Park
Girl
and-
Scout camp.
Something got tangled up there. Is that straightened out yet?
I'm not sure.
I think that Sutton wanted them to go slow,
Okay.
because they had a lot of plans.
I think, yeah, Sutton thinks they need to change their zoning before they can go forward.
The problem, from what I've learned about it, talking with the attorney, they're trying to fit different pieces together, and some of this is going to be over adjacent to, almost adjacent to Clark Lookout. And there are some little parcels that are missing links, pieces to the puzzle, and they're working very hard to try to get those, so, the whole thing is connected. And apparently, one of the service providers did some unethical things, and now I guess it's in the court. But at any rate, I met with Jackie Hudson, lawyer here in town. She wanted to meet and learn a little bit about the Conservation Commission, and she was talking about this project that they have been retained to work on. And she wanted to know what we did. So I said, well, I'll show you what we did. And we probably spent an hour in the bog walking around, and she couldn't believe it. So I did that only just to make them understand we are a credible organization, and we do things. I mean, it's so early in the program. There isn't a lot finalized, but I got a call from New Hampshire, Vermont Conservation Fund, from the region person, and she wants to come up and take a look at Clark Lookout. I have no idea what this is going to involve, but I said I would do that early in May, so we'll let you know. I think Ashley's been involved in previous discussions. I mean, I can't believe the amount of money that could be available, but they're not quite sure what they want to do. They want to make it a magic park where people could bring in kayaks and so forth and enjoy the shoreline. And as you might imagine, I think some of the abutting neighbors are a little less enthusiastic about that. So I think there's a lot of things to work out, but it sounds like a very interesting, so we'll stay tuned. Projects. We've talked to Dawn. When things dry up, we'll try to get into I am now calling it the Low Plain Wildlife Pond Dam, because there's more in there than just beavers. And that gets a little tiring after a while. So we do have a lot of work still to do on the erosion. Allowing that dam to breach caused a lot of damage, and we're gonna spend more money trying to fix it. And then we'll work on the pollinators. And we are talking, or have been talking for several months now, everything with New Hampshire Fish and Game is signed, approved, the selectmen have signed, approved the easement, so we now have 254 acres at Low Plain, which if you look back 6 years, that's a 50% increase in area. So that's a pretty good accomplishment. And the 3 parcels we added were all purchased with private funding. It was not taxpayers' dollars. So I wish we could do more of that, but, you know, it's interesting, again, without the Mary Haddad Fund, there is so much that we would not have been able to accomplish. And there's still a little bit of money left in there. So we've been working with Leo Maslin. He's done a forestry wildlife plan on the new section, which we sent copies to everyone. I don't know whether you've had a chance to, I mean, it's pretty detailed, but there's a lot of wildlife opportunity. So we're going to meet more. There's also wetlands in there, and that's an issue we're gonna have to deal with. There's also the ski trails in there, and, you know, those folks may have some limitations in that area for this next coming winter, if we decide to do this.
Yeah, and I've been in touch with Rick Davies and
Yeah.
also the new president of the ski club, and they would like to obviously be involved when we meet with Leo to go over the
Right.
placement. But, you know, I think it's important to let them know that we need to gear our forestry project based on Leo's needs and not the
Yeah,
ski club's
yeah.
needs. Unfortunately, I'm gonna guess that the ski club is going to have certain parts of their trail system that's gonna be affected by the logging. And they'll probably have
Well,
to reroute some of their,
We need to get in and figure out a plan, what it makes sense to do, what it, you know, doesn't make sense to do. We've always done very low-impact projects, maybe 15% of the area. This is certainly not a clear cut, but there's opportunities to improve the forest, the wildlife, recreation, and protect water. So it could be a good project. And anybody who would like to help out with that, there's plenty to do. The first project we did at Low Plain, I believe it finally involved 16 permits, and 2 of them were federal, because there's jurisdictional wetlands in there. So it's a big deal. And had to put in temporary bridges, and, you know, it was quite a bit. But the end result was excellent.
oh, yeah.
So we'll work on that and decide. We generally, you know, if we have him manage the project, then he selects and manages the loggers that are gonna work in there. Dave?
Just a quick question, and when you were saying, Mike, about the,
Use your mic.
just a quick question about the project and a possible conflict with the ski club. Is that because where the project would exist or when the harvest would take place? Because wintertime is, you know, the best in terms of, you know, maintaining or minimizing erosion and other aspects.
Yeah, the when and where of it is really specific to how they're going to be able to do the logging. And with that, it's a matter of access. So how can they get into that area of property? How can they get the logs out of that area and where they're going to be harvesting? The ski club traditionally has been on the Mattereese property, which is our new, one of our new acquisitions, and also on the town lot that we then merged into Low Plain, okay? And then it goes off onto private properties, which we would obviously not be affecting. So I would say that there's a significant loop that would be affected by the logging because their current run goes off onto the Mattereese property to a good extent. And whichever way we would access it, the Mattereese property is going to be affected by the logging, which means that that trail area more than likely would not be available. And the problem is that they have to do the logging when the ground is rock hard.
Absolutely.
So that's right in the midpoint of their ski season. So there is a clash, but there's no good way to work around it. We can't change and say, well, why don't you do it in October? It just doesn't work.
The
So-
good news is that since the town now owns this land, we do not allow scrap lumber. The ski club uses a lot of old pallets that are rotten, they have nails sticking out of them, and we said, not on our land. So they hauled all that junk away. This area has some of that, so the deal is, gotta get it out of there. And we told them we are willing to build a ramp or a crossing wide enough for their groomer and make it a safe, can't have nails sticking out of stuff and, but gotta get, coordinate it with the, any logging going on in there. There's, interesting in that report, there's a lot of recommendations in there. I've gotta get a drawing, but they recommended some owl houses. I'm not sure I know exactly what an owl house looks like, but.
There's one at Lionbrook.
Mike, a quick question. It's your understanding, is their access to this land historically been, the handshake, go ahead and use the land kind of an agreement, or is it a legal written easement, or what is the agreement?
It's an agreement that's done annually.
Yeah.
Yep.
Every year they ask for permission
Yeah.
from the landowners, including the town,
Yep,
to use the property for their trail.
okay.
This year, obviously, we would have to say that usage of the town property in that area
Is not allowed.
is going to probably be restricted, limited to a certain area, but they're willing to go out and talk with us. For example, if Leo goes out and he's gonna map out what he thinks the best access point would be, how he's gonna do it, where he's gonna do it, and then we can see how that fits in with where the trails are.
Yeah, maybe they need to build a new spur trail or
And
something.
they might need to shorten their run
Yeah,
on
okay,
the property and do it some other way.
okay.
Would Leo be able to do that in a timely manner to provide such a map? So they usually get working at the end of the summer on their trail system. But if they had enough time, then they could be able to look at a reroute and go over it with you or Mark or a few of us and get approval for what they need to do.
Yeah, well, I think Leo's probably gonna go out next month.
Yeah.
More than likely.
Yeah, just waiting for things to dry up a little
Yeah,
bit.
so we probably have more than enough time
Yeah.
to be able to work things out with them. But to my way of looking at it, obviously, our first priority has to be the logging,
Yeah,
assuming that we're gonna go ahead with that. And,
but they'd have to get the okay from the commission if they wanted to develop new trail connectors or a new whatever.
Right.
Because they would be cutting and clearing.
yeah,
And I think we should be very clear, and no chance of ambiguity. You cannot use this property this winter from
Well,
this
there's-
point
I mean,
on
there's
because of
also
the
a
logging.
safety issue.
And it's because of the safety issue, and.
yeah.
and-
Oh, yeah,
and-
absolutely.
yeah.
So it's gonna have to be, marked off to say where we're doing it.
Right.
Where and how we're gonna be doing access and how it affects them. They'll have to make the adjustment.
The ski club's overall skiing trails in there is really extensive. I mean, they got a lot of room in there. So this is an inconvenience, maybe, for 1 year.
Right.
And then it's fixed up nice. They got a good place to cross with their groomers. And, you know, it's a win-win.
Yep.
But I think, you know, if you look back 7 or 8 years, it was a circus dealing with the ski club. It just was, and they were really a nuisance. But I think with Rick Davies and with Mike, I think it's really gotten under control. So I'm just hopeful that we can continue to have this work smoothly and not be a mess in the fall.
Yeah, and I think it's gonna be fine. You know, as long as they understand what we need and what we're gonna do, I'm sure they can make adjustments. And like Bob says, just for 1 season, so shouldn't be too bad. And they have a lot of trail. I mean, if you took that section out, there's still a lot of trail left over.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
The only catch part would be going from Davis Path, making some other inroads to tie back into the rest of their trail system and staying away from the Matteries and the old town property sections.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll work. It's just, it just needs to be handled, as Jim is implying, that to make this go smoothly for everybody.
Yeah, and they should know well in advance of doing any of their layout work, so we should be fine.
Okay, Mark?
Yeah, Mike, do we have an intent, you know, to incorporate any of these trails as part of our permanent trail system?
Yes. The thought is that once we put in the bridge that we had proposed to cross over to eliminate the wet area crossing that we have now, we're gonna go more interior and put in a bridge to cross over a stream and then go up into a little deeper into the more westerly side of, I guess, westerly, no, let me think. Southeasterly part of the trail system. Because right now, you know, when it comes in, we're hitting it over here, so we're gonna be kind of cutting closer over into this section. So that'd be a more southeasterly run. And that would eliminate the need for any of the pallets and plywood and all that stuff, and get rid of all of that. And then the same entryway, which would be for their normal ski designation, would become an extra spur off of Davis Path. So right now, the spur that we have off of Davis Path goes, as you're going in from Andover Road, goes off to the right by the observation blinds. The new spur would go off to the left of Davis Path onto their run, and then we would designate where we would want to do possibly a loop, because we don't want to have the trail go all the way off, because their stuff runs onto private property, so we need to stay obviously on our land. So we would just go out to a certain point and then loop it back. And I think that would be a nice addition to the pathways.
Agreed, and perhaps for a future meeting, but I'd like to suggest that we consider a trail connection from Laurel Lane. We have that sliver of right-of-way.
No, it isn't right away. It's deeded land.
Deeded land.
It's part of the lot.
Yep. And, you know, I know some of the folks there that I've just spoken with, and the folks I have spoken with would be interested in, you know, a neighborhood trail connection. And I know there's, you know, impacts.
Well,
beyond
that's
that.
one thing we should do. We have always tried to communicate, and when we did Low Plain 2 of the times, we actually did like an open house where Leo came in with all his coins, the logs cut up, and he really gave a nice presentation. I thought it was going to be 20, 30 minutes. I think we were there for over an hour and a half. I mean, people were really interested, and they were enthusiastic about it. So I think it's best to tell folks what we're doing and why we're doing it. And, I mean, most of them don't realize the benefit that these projects produce, so, yeah, we should do that.
I agree, Bob, although that, really what I was suggesting was, after the timber harvest, considering a permanent trail.
Oh, yeah, but I mean, we should do some communication beforehand.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I believe that strip is 50 feet, so it's very wide. Yeah, I mean, that could be, I don't know how densely it's wooded, but, if that's something we want to do when they're here, those are the guys that has to clear it, rather than you're trying to do it by hand.
Yeah, and if I remember how that section looked, I don't think it'd be too hard to put a trail through there.
Yeah.
You know,
I think in one area, it looked like some of the neighbors had started a little,
their own little trail system, yeah, that's part of it, because some of the people back of their property had access points, if you will. But, yeah, if we have a formal access on that side, probably best. Makes sense.
okay, so then anything else on projects, trails?
I have a trail project, yes.
Okay, Mark.
Now the time? I'm excited about this. This is a new trail option. My printer gave me a hard time, so if you could share, got enough maps to, if you share. This regards a 20-acre parcel between, on South Pleasant Street, between Barrett Road and Frothingham. And I've met with the landowners a couple of times. They're very supportive and favorable. I've got this map at DPW now. I'm waiting to hear back from them. The intent of this would be to connect the neighborhood, the Balsam Acres neighborhood, Barrett Road neighborhoods to the Lion Brook Trail. That's sort of the big picture intent. And it would also be supportive of the bike ped's desire to do an in-town pedestrian-friendly loop. So I think, it has multiple benefits. Don and I and a couple other folks have tromped through there a month ago or so, and there were a lot of wildlife tracks in there. So I'm suggesting that at the trailheads, we put a wildlife sanctuary sign, and also that we ask all dogs to be leashed, just to minimize the impact on wildlife.
What's the ground surface like?
It's rough, sloped,
Dry?
not especially.
Yeah, okay, that's right.
But there is the sewer right-of-way, and the right-of-way is maintained, and the stream that runs through there, there's a nice culvert, so the bridge, in a sense, is already built for us, and, we would take advantage of that. The trail would follow the right-of-way for part of its route.
Which part of this is the trail and which part is the?
My pencil dashed lines are the proposed trail locations, and the three circles are the three trailheads that would be the
Access points.
access.
The red dots, Mark?
The red dots are the sewer right-of-way.
Okay.
What
This is.
are the needs in terms of boardwalks, bridges?
And it goes like that.
Not much. I
Not
think
much.
The main need will be trailhead signs.
So this is the
above and beyond building the
DPW.
trail.
Yeah.
Right
main
there.
need
So
is
this
the
was
trail.
halfway down that little road.
Okay.
Okay. Timing? What are you thinking?
Well, I'm waiting to hear from DPW and your feedback, but, I think we could get going on it.
So you have, the line is a sewer line, it's not a water line.
True.
Okay.
Is,
So I'm sure they don't want anything on top of there right away.
I would think that would be true,
Yeah, okay. So you can work around that, okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is there any construction needed?
I don't think much, other than the signs.
I meant for the trail.
Boardwalks here and there.
Okay.
Question. I think it's really cool. I think it makes a good loop. I was just thinking about the entrance that's on the corner of Pleasant Street and Barrett. So that really bisects the property to make that trail. Are we concerned about disrupting the wildlife, or we think it's too much in town anyways?
Well, no, I think we are concerned. I am, I think all our trails disrupt wildlife, and so I think we need to weigh out the benefits of this versus the impact on wildlife.
I was just thinking that, maybe start with the Balsam Acres to Frothingham Road piece, and then hold off on the other thing, just to see how heavily it's used and how it goes. I don't know, I'm just concerned about disruption of wildlife on that big of a piece of property. Did you say how many acres it is? 29?
28.
28.
Yeah, I share that concern. I try to justify it with the idea that, we're trying to connect people to the outdoors, right? And this is a
Yeah, I
big
get it.
bang for the buck in that regard.
Yeah.
Say, Mark, is the sewer right-of-way cleared already? There are no trees above it? Okay, so there are corridors going through there that are already accessible.
Yes. And I would want to dodge this diagonal right-of-way that, kind of parallels Pleasant Street. That hits another property owner and, of course, as a, hiking experience. I don't think we want to walk right alongside South Pleasant Street.
Right.
The bike ped group,
this is
one
probably
of their
grass,
challenges
like
is South
down
Pleasant
here.
Street is not a friendly place to walk. Steep hill and no shoulders, and so this would be, would help that dilemma.
Yeah.
And would it help, how would it connect to that pocket park they're thinking of building? I mean, or you could just walk down South Pleasant Street and then catch the trail.
Right here.
Yeah, I don't think they have that figured out, but, part of the loop, their loop, what will be on pavement, and,
Uh-huh.
And Balsam Acres Road, Barrett Road, those are fairly friendly to walk already.
One thing I did note, Mark, when we were out there is that there really is no place to park in any of those trailheads. So it will really be a community-focused trail.
Except for Frothingham.
You could park over by the
Yes.
water.
Yeah.
At that little ways down.
Any thoughts about bicycles?
No, I haven't thought about that.
Okay.
I think we would do unless there's a consensus to do something more, I think it would be sort of our usual, this way by this high. I guess one question, and I kind of hate to ask this because I'm afraid of the answer, but prior to actually doing much work, should we do a neighborhood outreach? Should we do some kind of outreach to see if, how folks feel? Are there neighbors, are there people who live on Balsam Acres who would rather not have increased pedestrian traffic down their road? And there probably are some. I would think at a minimum, after we build it, we would want to do a municipal matters, we would want to publicize it so people know about it
Well,
Or do you want to do something beforehand?
beforehand.
Yeah.
right, but to Don's point about the lack of parking, there are certainly plenty of trails that are not in New London that literally have no parking signs at the trailhead,
Well, and that's what I propose.
that make it crystal clear that you are not allowed to park here, you will be towed, kind of crystal clear. So that would allow Balsam Acres to maybe be a little more comfortable with the fact that there's a trail at the end of their road, because it's not going to start inviting people to park down there because it's explicitly stated that you can't.
So where will people park?
They won't, they'll walk there.
There are a couple of spots, at the end of
And you think they won't park there?
I mean, we're gonna say no parking, I guess some people might anyway, I don't know. But the purpose would be, for the neighborhood to walk out their door, walk down Balsam Acres Road,
Okay.
grab the trail. Or, the Barrett Road folks.
Just as a side note, you may want to check, but I believe a no parking sign takes select board approval.
Well, I did that on my own at the Chestnut Lane connector. I just put no parking up without that approval. But
Yeah. I think you can put no parking, that was it, over on Davis Hill Road. We talked about people that park by the gate, right by the ditch,
yeah,
and then they start parking on the other side. Well, in the winter, that's gonna be a huge problem. We asked about putting up no parking signs. They said you can put one right on your gate, so they don't park in front of your gate, but all the other thing is gotta go to the select board for approval.
okay.
So you may wanna just double check to make sure that was right. Okay, anything else?
Yeah, quick question. So we're proposing building a set of trails for neighborhood access.
Not restricted to neighborhood.
I know not restricted, but that's really what they're for, because there's no parking.
Well, except there is at Frothingham, though, there's plenty of space down by where, Will parks the recreation bus and stuff, there's
Right.
parking in there.
Right, but
And it's pretty accessible from like the parking lot up by Tracy Library.
right,
yeah,
that's
true.
true. Okay, okay. But I was getting to that we haven't had a conversation with the community around these trails yet, and we're proposing building trails for them. It seems like we really should be having a conversation with them.
So that we would take the form of a mailing or a public hearing or?
Don't know. Those are both good options.
So Mark, you talked to Denise Andrews and you've talked to the Jennisons. You haven't talked to the Clausens who live between Denise and the trailhead?
Have not talked to them.
Okay.
I asked the Jennisons what their take might be on that reaction, and they kind of shrugged and said, they thought that they'd be okay with it.
Just,
And I have also talked to the McSwineys and Ann Hall, and they're, even though I don't think these trails will actually go on their property, they were both favorable.
okay, cool.
Okay. So you have talked to a number of the people.
Yeah.
The other one next to Jennison's is the guy who's the new fire chief. Brandon Adams? Just, yeah, he bought Chip Matthewson's directly across from Bill and Denise Andrews.
Well,
I don't know him.
the consensus is I should do some kind of outreach. Should I talk to Ashley about that, or, a public hearing, or a mailing? I could do a mailing, targeted mailing to all the abutters.
You don't think putting it municipal matters would be effective?
Guess that would reach some of them.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the targeted mailing really, no matter what else you do, I think that, there are not that many that you would actually have to target unless you wanted to do everybody on Balsam Acres, but.
How many households are we talking about?
Well, we want, I would want to let the neighborhood know, so,
Yeah.
Squires Lane, Barrett Road, looks like 50-ish.
Oh, you think that many?
The most.
Okay.
There's only like 10 that are direct abutters, but yeah, you could
Check,
expand it.
Mark, please check the costs, because I believe those are return receipt. Talking some major money,
Okay.
yeah.
But you could still do the direct abutters that way. That would only be like 10 or a dozen.
That's true.
Yeah.
Maybe,
Or you could do flyers and stick them in the front door.
I could do that.
I could do that, yeah.
Yep.
Okay,
All right, thank you.
anything else, Mark?
Yes, can we move forward with forestry project at Phillips?
To do what?
A forestry project at Phillips.
That is part of Leo's plan to go look at both.
Okay.
Because, I mean, it would be very logical to do, that's a little bit of a problem there. It's wet. And I think that there's some work that would have to be done to the right-of-way. We also have to get that stump out of there. The trucks couldn't move well in there before. We got the wire fixed.
Yes.
The wire's been raised, but, yeah.
Well, thank you. Just to remind you, we did meet with Matt Tarr and looked at that Phillips Field.
Oh, yeah, tell us about that.
Well, I mean, I don't think he told us much that we didn't already know, but he did say, you know, when you come to do forestry, he'd be happy to work with our forester. He knows Leo. So he'd be happy to work with Leo on a plan.
Okay.
So, you know, I'll keep that conversation going.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, didn't he suggest just mowing half the field on sort of alternate years to get a little more
He did
diversity?
say, you know, he kind of said, we could do that. It's a small area, so, you know, so.
Yeah, it's not that big a field.
I thought it was 3 acres, it's not even. He had an app where he could, was it an acre and a half, or,
Yeah.
Maybe.
yeah.
Okay.
I think it's beautiful the way it's kept now.
It is.
I think it's a real spot. And I'm not sure we'd want to mess with that, but in terms of mowing.
I agree that scenically it's beautiful. I don't think it's the optimum, you know, from a wildlife standpoint, it's not the optimum way to manage it.
Okay, special meeting, a week from Thursday, at Colby Sawyer. Anything else under old business?
Yes, I wanted to finish off the rules of procedure.
Oh, yes.
So, we talked about a few adjustments, but just to go over that real quick. 90% of what was done in red, that the document that I sent out, was the old stuff, and then when I sent the procedures to Ashley, she gave me extra items to add in, which I did. So everything that was in there was already reviewed by Ashley, with the exception of the items that we talked about today, which was on C3, where we wanted to add in the conservation easement to the wording which says purchase of, okay? So we're going to add that to purchase of real estate and conservation easement, so that was change number 1. Change number 2 was section H. That section on 3 would be modified to say that the chair has the option to appoint, rather than having the wording that says it's only for absent members. So that's how that would be corrected. Then L, which, actually that whole section was added by Ashley, but at any rate, 3, again, we would take out the physically step away from the table part of that information, and that's all I have.
Okay.
So my intent is then I will build that in and send it to everybody, including Ashley, and then hopefully at the next meeting, we would be able to do a motion to accept these updated rules of procedure and get a signature and get it into the town office.
So you'll bring a copy with a signature page?
Yes,
So we'll all sign it?
yep,
Print name, sign name?
yep.
Yep, okay, good.
So is everybody good with that?
I have one comment, and I already said this, maybe I'm outvoted, but L3, I would like folks to not have to recuse themselves from discussion. Or not not necessarily recuse themselves from discussion.
Well, the only thing I'll say about that is that my understanding was that and again, that whole section was given to me by Ashley. And she made it clear to me that the stuff that she gave me to add was stuff that was reviewed by
Yeah.
council. So I would be somewhat,
Allowing a
Reluctant.
presentation in favor of is sort of undermining the whole concept of recusing yourself.
I guess I can't argue with that. The other side of the coin is, you know, the people who recuse themselves are actually probably doing it because they have a lot of info, you know, they have a lot of knowledge of the topic. And I'm just,
But they also have a conflict of interest.
true, so they're not gonna vote.
Right, and they have to disclose that conflict of interest, so everybody
Yeah.
knows that they have it.
Right.
again,
I
would
think
just
that's a
be a little,
mistake.
little reluctant to modify something that she must have gotten from council.
Yeah.
Because that whole section, we didn't have that before, that's all.
You want to run that by her again?
I'll ask,
Yeah, see if,
I'll ask.
yeah,
She was
okay.
able to modify the shall physically step away, it seems.
Well, that's something you're
Well,
taking out.
that's a
taking some-
completely different thing.
Yeah, taking something out and modifying is two different things, really.
Mark, I bet the issue, the legal issue plays into the fact that the person who is on the committee has influence, and therefore that person presenting pro or con against a topic could have influence on the committee, and I think that's why if you're gonna recuse yourself, you should recuse yourself from the discussion too. I totally get your point, though, but I bet that's the legal catch, is that each of us would carry a little more influence with each other because we're members of the committee than the general public would. I bet that's the legal consequence.
You had a comment?
Yeah, I guess and I did want to point this out, in terms of the conflicts of interest as they're written, Rob had an example, and today Sue recused herself, and I assume because of her connection with Osmond Sargent. But as they are written, neither would need to recuse yourself because there's no personal financial interest in that. I actually asked a lawyer who's associated with Osmond Sargent, and he said that you can serve in different capacities, and as long as you don't benefit from any of these capacities, there's no need to recuse yourself when voting on something like that. So, I mean, if you can choose to recuse yourself because you may want to avoid the appearance of a conflict of interest, but as a conflict of interest is legally understood, there's no need to do that.
Isn't
Where-
that, well, I don't have mine, it's on my phone.
Where is it?
But, and I read it
I read it too.
closely, but isn't there something about employer?
Yeah.
Well, then Sue's employer was Osmond Sargent.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
In her case,
that's,
you probably should.
So.
I mean,
to
so
me, that's a no-brainer.
my
Could you
question,
hold, please?
excuse,
Let Michael finish.
No, I'm good, but it
Okay.
seems as though that's pretty clear.
it doesn't actually state that.
Well, I think we trust on good
Yeah.
judgment.
Mark, Sue's next. Okay.
my question was whether those L2, A, B, C, D, E are our choice to put in, or whether they are required. That's what I keep trying to figure out.
I mean, it does say not limited to.
I'm talking about the
Well, actually,
section
there it is right
Employment
there.
relationship.
Ashley gave us.
Yeah, so it says employment relationships with applicants or affected parties.
Well,
Dave is saying,
but it's a, you know.
Okay, it is in
E,
there,
so
okay,
I
the
would
employment
think that
relationship.
E is where it falls into our purview. And those conflicts of interest are, you know, and then you list it, but then E, to me, is the one, any circumstances where a member's personal interest could reasonably be perceived as influencing their judgment. That's the one, it has nothing to do with employment or
Well, that's why I
He
recused myself,
does.
because I was employed by Osmond Sargent.
Right, and actually, I was wrong. It says specifically, it says employment. I guess if you volunteered for Osmond Sergeant, then it would be potentially under E, but generally, the interests are considered financial interests.
Right.
So as a volunteer, I guess you wouldn't need to, but as an employee, you did need to.
That was my understanding.
Got it.
But I think with a volunteer, for instance, with Osmond Sergeant, then I think that's a gray area which that person would need to consider in terms of recusal.
Sure.
It would seem that if you have a situation where a member here is involved with an organization as a director or whatever, whether it be the land trust or maybe a lake protective association, especially if they own property, you could look at this as saying, gee, you know, if I get the town to give a whole bunch of money, then when they come to me passing the hat, I won't have to give as much.
I think it's that you're not just worried about the fact of it, you're worried about the perception
Right.
of it.
Right.
I think that's huge.
Yeah.
Uh,
You got the mic on?
That's on.
Okay.
I think perception is huge in a situation like this when you're acting as a body for a town.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, are we set on that, Mike? You're gonna run a couple things
So
by Ashley?
I'll fix the items that I mentioned,
Okay,
get everybody a copy, including Ashley. The intent will be then to bring this up, barring any additional changes that Ashley might recommend. Bring it up at the next meeting for vote and finalization.
okay, good,
Okay.
good. Okay,
I have a question, Bob.
yes,
We never approved, I know your agenda says no voting order. We never approved January or February's minutes.
say it again, you never,
The minutes that we never,
Minutes have never been approved for January or February.
Correct.
They're still draft.
and we'll have to work on that next meeting. I'm assuming we didn't hear it directly, but I guess the voting ban has been lifted, so,
yeah, I guess we're gonna have to review what was in the minutes
Right.
and then make adjustments accordingly.
now, Linda, on the two votes, are you all set?
Yes.
Okay. We went through it twice, so hopefully we have it all. Okay, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, good, thank you.
Not even a member.
That would be.
Not even a voting member. Well,
Oh,
maybe the
geez,
bump
yeah.
effect might
Yeah.
allow me to become a member and someone else
Get strangled, thank you.
experience too.
Don, we didn't mean to ignore you. Welcome home. We should talk with Mark at some point, talk about when you're available and what you want to do hours-wise and so forth, and then just make sure we have enough money. We got to go through May and June, and then we'll be into 27 year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm back and ready to go.
Okay.
I'll align with Mark on what the first.
At some point, I have those two gates ready.
Okay.
So the easement was
And one of them was definitely used. I had to rechace the threads and
You're saying two gates, you're talking about for local.
yeah, there's
on Shaker Street.
there's an 8 and a 10.
Oh, okay,
And these are nice because it's a big through bolt, so you can crank them to bring it, you know, it isn't like you're just setting it on a little, these are,
okay. And then the pin has to be perfectly aligned.
Oh.
Yeah, this way you can adjust it.
Yeah, and these are cattle gates, these are heavy. And then one of them, they were different colors, so the guy gave me 2 cans of spray paint. You know, the same color, so we can, and then I got some little caps for the posts. I don't know whether that guy's moving or what, but he's been a little strange. I figured, hey, you know, we'll make it look as nice as we
You
can.
know, if there's anything else you think of, then we can certainly
Well, I wasn't sure
tweak it
how much
again.
is
Got
was
it.
even
Anyway.
tweakable, you know, because so much of
And then when things drop,
I didn't realize that any of it was, so.
90
yeah, one's inside, one's outside. I'll leave that up to you. Would it be easier to do it afterwards?
Make things clearer.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe, but
actually
I'm
put
just
in
thinking if
probably
they get nicked up, you know, if you put spray paint on them, then we nick
An
them up
extra,
or
like
hang
I
'em.
said,
I don't
certain
know.
sections, so probably another.
Yeah, we've got
Added
2 full
on top
cans,
of
so
it,
we should
extra
have,
stuff that
if
you
they
got
do have to
from
be touched up a little bit,
town
whatever you
water.
think.
But interesting.
My thought was, and we should talk about this, my thought was to maybe have the bottom like a foot off the ground.
I did,
And then I didn't realize those were 4 by
so that was
6s,
kind of, I guess, a good thing.
so I cut another 6 for the back to make it kind of 6 inches square.
Who voted yay and who voted nay?
But I think the bolt's gonna go
First
through the
vote,
side.
which was
So
the
that's
initial
only for
vote on the
decoration.
topic,
Okay.
was made invalid because
Yeah, so that can be done, I guess.
when it was seconded, it was seconded by someone who recused themselves later.
And then, I don't, you know, it looks kinda,
Valid, which then cascaded to
you know, there's a lot of debris in there. We should see if we get some volunteers sometime. Just pick all that crap out of the wall and maybe throw it on that wood pile and then dump a load of chips on top of it or something, just to make it look a little better.
ish, but it was invalid because the first thing
Oh, yeah, yeah.
got negated. Because that got canceled out.
That
Stuff
didn't realize that someone else could have seconded it or something.
Yes, I do. I'm trying to remember
So
what they are
because of
now.
that, that's how things got
Yeah,
So, yeah, that was the whole thing.
We'll
Yeah.
probably wanna, if we do wanna do the,
But anyway,
anything
That's
additional with the knotweed this year, we'll need to get some supplies over.
yeah, we gotta talk about that.
It's just, that's a time-sensitive thing, 'cause